The fallen ascetic and the passing song. The string that must not be too tight. Buddha story. According to the tradition and later Buddhist stories, after 6 long years of severe austerity, Siddhartha's body had become extremely weak. He had eaten very little, endured great hardship, and pushed himself to the edge of life in his search for truth. He had already seen that palace pleasure was not the answer. He had also seen that even deep meditation was not yet the complete end of suffering. So he had tried the path of severe self-discipline, believing that perhaps by overcoming the body completely, the mind could become free. But after years of austerity, Siddhartha began to see the limit of that path. Today's story begins with Siddhartha sitting in the quiet forest after years of pushing himself too far. The forest was still, the dry earth lay beneath him, the trees moved softly in the wind. Around him, the 5 ascetics continued their strict practice. They had followed him because they saw his deep determination. To them, Siddhartha may have seemed like the greatest seeker. Among them, a man who had left everything behind, and would not stop until he reached the highest truth. But Siddhartha's body was no longer strong. His face had grown thin. His shoulders had become narrow. His breath was weak. The body that had once lived as a prince was now almost like a shadow in the forest. He had reduced food again and again. He had endured hunger and pain. He had trained himself to bear discomfort, silence, and weakness. Yet the question in his heart had not disappeared. Aging still remained. Sickness still remained. Death still remained. The deep sorrow of living beings still remained. He had not gone through this path lightly. He had not tried for a short time and then given up. He had tested severe austerity for years. Because of that, he could now see something clearly. The path of tormenting the body did not open the final door. It made the body weak. It made the mind struggle. It created another form of suffering instead of ending suffering at its root. Siddhartha may have asked himself quietly, if I destroy the body, can wisdom truly grow? If I add more pain to pain, can suffering really come to an end? This was not an easy question. It is hard to question a path after giving many years to it. It is hard to turn away from a road when others believe that road is holy. The 5 ascetics were still watching him. They may have believed that the more severely he practiced, the closer he would come to awakening. If he softened his practice, they might think he had become weak. They might think he had lost his resolve. But Siddhartha was not searching for praise. He was searching for truth. One day, as he sat weak and exhausted, a simple sound reached him. According to later stories, a song was passing nearby. Some tell it as the song of people walking by. Some tell it as the words of musicians or young women near the river. The exact form of the story may vary, but the meaning remains clear. The song spoke of a string instrument. If the string is too loose, it cannot make a clear sound. If the string is too tight, it will break. Only when the string is tuned correctly can it make a beautiful sound. The words were simple. They were not spoken as a great teaching. They may have sounded like ordinary advice about music. But sometimes a simple sound can touch a heart that is ready to hear it. Siddhartha had spent years pulling the string of his own life tighter and tighter. He had believed that the more he denied the body, the closer he might come to freedom. But now, hearing the image of the string, something in him became clear. Too much pleasure was not the way. Too much pain was not the way either. A string that is too loose cannot sing. A string that is too tight will break. In the same way, a life drowned in comfort cannot easily see the truth. But a life destroyed by self-torment cannot hold clear wisdom either. For Siddhartha, this was not the final awakening. He had not yet sat beneath the Bodhi tree. He had not yet become the Buddha. But the seed of a new understanding began to open within him. The path to freedom could not be found by running after pleasure. But it also could not be found by crushing the body. The true path had to be balanced, steady, clear, and wise. The body was not an enemy to be hated. The body was also not a master to be obeyed blindly. It had to be cared for enough to support deep seeing. This understanding was quiet, but it was powerful. It did not arrive with noise or thunder. It came like a small breeze entering a room that had been closed for a long time. Siddhartha looked at his weakened body and understood that if he continued in this way, he might die before finding the truth. A dead body could not meditate. A mind trapped in pain could not see clearly. The search for freedom needed strength, balance, and wisdom. The 5 ascetics may not have understood this change. To them, if Siddhartha began to accept food or care for his body, it might look like failure. They might think he had abandoned the path. They might believe that he had turned away from his great effort. But Siddhartha was not returning to the palace. He was not going back to a life of pleasure. He was moving toward a deeper path, a path that did not belong to either extreme. The song about the string became a mirror for his own journey. In the palace, the string had been too loose. In the forest of austerity, the string had become too tight. Now, something within him began to seek the right tuning. This is why this moment is so important in the story of Siddhartha. It is not yet the moment of full enlightenment, but it is the turning of the heart toward the middle way. It is the moment when he begins to see that wisdom is not found by escaping into pleasure, and it is not found by punishing oneself. Wisdom begins when one sees clearly, without clinging to either side. The long years of austerity were not useless. They showed Siddhartha the limit of one extreme. Just as palace life had shown him the limit of comfort, severe practice showed him the limit of self-torment. By walking both roads deeply, he began to see that the answer must be somewhere beyond them. The path ahead was still waiting. Sujata's offering had not yet arrived. The Bodhi tree still stood in the distance. The night of awakening had not yet come. But something had changed. Siddhartha was no longer only pushing forward through pain. He was beginning to listen. He was beginning to understand that the way to truth must be firm, but not harsh, gentle, but not lazy, disciplined, but not cruel. This is how the story of the fallen ascetic and the passing song quietly comes to a close. It reminds us that the heart, like a string, cannot make a clear sound when it is pulled too far. Sometimes we think that if we suffer more, work more, endure more, or ignore our own needs, we will finally become worthy of peace. But peace does not grow well in a life that is breaking. There are times when we need discipline. There are also times when we need kindness. There are times when we must let go of comfort. There are also times when we must stop hurting ourselves in the name of effort. May we learn to notice when the string of our heart is too tight. May we learn to loosen what must be loosened, steady what must be steadied, and walk a path that leads not to self-destruction, but to wisdom, compassion, and a deeper peace.